Hey guys, what's up? This is Pantai Dragon, aka Luigi Dragon, and today I'll be going over 5 steps to escaping ELO Hell, or what I consider ELO Hell is basically silver, gold, bronze, etc. But let's go ahead and let's get started. Alright, so step number 1, play OP champs. So obviously if you don't know the OP champs, you can check out my tier list and just play the top 2 champs. But anyways, why should you play OP champs? Well, obviously they're going to be more powered than most champs overall. They obviously have some mechanic that's better. An example of this is someone like Kale. As she can give someone 3-second invulnerability, she does a ton of damage, and of course is ranged. And let's say that you're a Victor main, wouldn't it be better off to say playing an OP champ and maining him, someone like Kale? Like, let's say you're a very good Victor player. You know all his tricks and moves, but of course that time spent learning him could have been time spent learning an OP champion. So ask yourself this, would your team and you benefit from playing Victor or playing Kale at an equal skill level? It's probably going to be Kale. Same with something like Ezreal. Would I rather have a fed Ezreal or would I rather have a fed Lucian? And you guys get the concept of OP champs. Alright, so step 2, be consistent. So what does consistent mean? It means don't do bad in your lane, pick a champ that you're somewhat familiar with, and let's say you're a jungle main, but you're forced to play AD carry. So you'll probably be at a disadvantage, but at least have one champion for each role that you know how to play. So like someone like me, let's put an example, if I'm ever forced to support, I will play Leona because she has high CC. And I think a prime example is top lane. I see people getting forced to play top lane, and then they're like, I don't know how to play top lane. I'm just going to play Twisted Fate top. And it's like, why don't you be something consistent if you don't play top lane, just play something tanky, like something like Shyvana or Trundle, who are really consistent champions. As if they lose their lane, they'll actually still be useful mid-game and late-game, since they are tanks and have pretty good base damage. Or someone like middle, you want to be consistent, play Ziggs. Don't play something kind of high skill cap like Ahri, she really isn't a consistent pick at all. Like, the concept with this is basically you don't want to be a liability for your team, and like the least you could do is not feed and try something that might be useful mid-game or late-game. And excuses like, oh, I carried this game, but my teammates did so shit, and then I lost the game, are sort of bullshit to me. Just because probably you played another role and it was a liability for your team, and in basically one game you did carry a bunch of weight, but in another game you probably were an anvil in someone's backpack. That's why maining one role and then playing 2 backup roles is a good thing for solo queue. Alright, so the next thing is don't fight bad fights. In a game there's always good fights and bad fights. I know it's kind of hard to judge whether a fight is good or not, but just by experience you'll learn which are good fights and which are bad fights. So like here's a small example. Let's say you're Wukong and Nidalee versus a Lee Sin and LeBlanc. Should you fight that fight? Probably not, because they're both actually early game champions, and in a 2v2 you'd probably get wrecked. And the next one is basically a number example, don't fight 4v5s, as it's highly unlikely you're going to win that team fight. And I would tell my team to back off until we are grouped as 5. If your team of course does team fight, do what you can from a distance, but don't all in. As if you know if it's a bad team fight, why would you go all in, get yourself caught out and die? The next example is probably a 5v5 when the enemy is ahead. I wouldn't fight that, unless of course you get a really good initiation, but chances are you're probably going to lose. A good fight of this example is when they're sieging on your tower. Since you clearly have an advantage of the tower being there, you can possibly win a 5v5. And like good fights are like something like you want to fight 4v3s, numbers, when an enemy's doing Baron. When you're ahead, you obviously want to team fight the enemy team. And you guys get the concept. Just remember, if you think it's a bad fight, ping your team back so your team doesn't fight a bad fight. And obviously if you think it's a bad fight, just don't go all in, as it's probably better for you to survive. Alright, so step number 3, shot calling. So obviously winning games takes communication. So generally, if someone leads the team, they'll kind of have more control of their team by controlling objectives, grouping as 5, etc. And of course just vocally telling your team what to do. Otherwise, your team will actually just scramble around, get caught out, make stupid decisions by themselves, and potentially throw the game if you have a lead. So like obviously timing Dragon every 6 minutes and telling your team to come when it's popping up is something to shot call, of course. Telling your team to group as 5, telling someone to split push while you pressure middle, get Baron control, all of these are shot calling. And it's really easy, you just either ping and then of course type in chat group 5 and then tell your team to ping back. And again, this allows you to control your teammates so that you make them play how you want them to play. And of course it ensures you to stay ahead. And generally people are just followers, they'll just listen to whatever they're being told and just do what they're being told, so it should be really simple to do. Alright, so last and most important of all is kill potential. The more knowledge you have of a kill potential in say a lane, the more better you'll be at picking up kills and getting yourself fed. Obviously, you will learn this by experience and, of course, doing math and calculations in your head to see if you can kill your opposing laner, but that's why people are good at their lanes, because they know how much damage they can do and potentially get a kill for themselves. An example of this is, say, I'm a level 6 LeBlanc versus a level 5 Ryze. He's full hit point, but let's say I get my full combo on him, plus Ignite, he's probably gonna die, and yeah, that's just an example of kill potential. Also, mid laners, when they roam, they see a kill potential on bot lane or top lane, and that's what makes players really good players, as they see kill potential if they go to this area, etc, etc. And like this is for junglers too. Let's say you're Jarvan and you're gonna gank for Nidalee onto LeBlanc. Is that gank gonna work? Possibly not, because LeBlanc has her W, and Nidalee doesn't really bring any CC. So again, another example for a jungler with kill potential, how he can use that knowledge to his advantage. This also goes the other way. Like, let's say you're level 5 Nidalee against a LeBlanc who's level 6. She could probably kill you if you go for that range CS where she's standing on. So you're either forced to throw a spear and get that CS, or miss it so you don't die. And of course, with that knowledge, it helps you prevent your own deaths, at the cost of course, losing some CS or being zoned from experience. And so if you know they can kill you, you obviously have to work around that, but it's better than you dying in the lane. And even in team fights, let's say you're an AD carry, let's say your team tells you to kill the other enemy carries. Well, that's sort of impossible for you unless you get a good position on them. And you're being zoned by the enemy tanks, and you know that if you ignore them, and just try to dive with, let's say, your Malphite, those two tanks are probably going to beat you up and probably take you down. And that's why most AD carries just focus the tanks, because they do see the risk of danger that they put themselves in if they dive in with your team. Again, this is a team fight example, and to sum it up, the more KO potential knowledge you have, the more kills you will get, and of course the least amount of deaths you will have. So yes, if you work on your calculations, have a good knowledge of what other champions can do, you'll be pretty good at this game and the concept of kill potential. Hey, thank you for watching. I am Panther Dragon, aka Luigi Dragon. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.